Добрый день.
Great. So before we start some organizational points, our working language today is English. I know that we have participants from all over the world. So today we're going to communicate in English.
Я говорю по-русски. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. And we've already actually received a lot of questions for you. But the info for our participants is that you can still ask the questions. You have a special Q&A section below the screen. So please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. At the end, we will have a short Q&A session. And during our conversation today, I'm going to ask the most relevant questions to Ernesto. Okay, so it's already 4 p.m. Moscow time, 3 p.m. set, and I think we can start our talk. I'm Annie from Generation Startup Corporate Accelerator. We are a corporate accelerator based in Moscow in Russia, but we are working also for different companies, international ones, Russian ones as well throughout the world. So actually we are trusted by more than 15,000 startups worldwide, 60 corporate partners, 250 innovation ecosystem partners. And in order to bring extra value for our partners during these times, we decided to launch Innov Talks with the key innovation leaders of the world. So we believe that sharing the knowledge and sharing the insight during these times is the key to support each other and to overcome all the difficulties. And I'm happy to present today Ernesto Chorra, Chief Innovability Officer of Enel Group, one of the industry leaders, one of the innovation leaders in the world. So actually last year, Generations worked with Enel, and we scouted startups in Russia and also in European countries. We revealed more than 180 startups in different areas, and so happy to see them to work with Enel. So Ernesto, very happy to have you with us today. Please introduce Enel and also tell a little bit more about yourself and your experience.
Thank you very much, Annie, for your introduction, and thanks to Generation S for having invited me here. I lead the innovation and sustainability at global level in Enel. Enel is the largest energy company in Europe, and for market cap, we are the largest one, and we are the largest renewable company in the world. So who has built the largest renewable plant in the United States, in South America, in South Africa, and in Australia? The answer is Enel. And we are very proud of this leadership because we are changing the whole energy industry in the world. And we are the largest provider of digitalized grids all around the world with more than with several million of kilometers of digitalized grids. And if you accept the national state grid of China, we are the largest private owner of a grid, electric grid in the world. But being the largest doesn't mean that you are the most innovative. And we are very proud of having been considered as the most innovative in many countries. And we made possible what people thought and big university thought it was impossible. I can share with you just an example. We asked MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, from United States, if it was possible to combine the energy of the sun, concentrated solar power with photovoltaic, with the energy of the earth, the geothermal. They say no. They say no due to 3 reasons. We used these 3 reasons and transformed them into 3 challenges, and we found solutions with startups all around the world, and we made it possible in the United States. And we have been awarded because we have implemented the most innovative plant in the world, in the United States, and we made possible what MIT thought it was impossible. Thanks to a network of startuppers, innovators that we have all around the world, and we are very proud of this collaboration with Generation S, because we have been collaborating for different years, several years, and it's a great opportunity for us because Russia is crowded of talents, of startups, and there is a strong support from the government.
Thank you. It's quite impressive. And thank you for sharing with us today the insights. So today we're going to talk about the innovation strategy, about the current challenges, about how to set up successful open innovation models in a corporate, and also how to communicate with all the innovation stakeholders. So let's pass to the first block of the questions. So as we know, various industries are very affected now by the corona crisis. And we found some statistics that 97% of all energy companies are also affected by COVID. And in fact, now you should adapt to this new normal life. So among these significant changes, the experts point out especially the decrease of demand because of lockdown, and also the recession of the global economy, and the necessity to cut costs to ensure the sustainable functioning of the companies. So the question is, what are the main challenges that Enel is facing now during the lockdown? And what are you doing to face these challenges?
The COVID is a dramatic pandemic that is attacking all over the world. And we decided before than other companies during the first week of March to ask all our colleagues who could work in smart working to adopt this smart working practice, even if in their countries there wasn't a strong evidence of a COVID diffusion. So we have asked 37,000 people to be in smart working on 76,000 people, because we thought that, okay, in that period in Brazil, there wasn't the pandemic diffusion. In that period in Russia, there wasn't a strong diffusion of this COVID. And the same happened in United States, in Argentina, in Peru, in Chile, in several countries where we were operating. Just in Italy and in Spain, we had this pandemic, and in China, obviously, but we haven't people in China, just 3-4 people. So now a strong team in China. But we asked all of them, 37,000 people, please adopt the smart working as the new normal. And they were surprised, because Brazilian colleagues, they were saying, why? We haven't COVID here. And people from the United States, they say, hey, there isn't any COVID here. And Fauci and the other famous virologists are saying that there is not a strong menace for us. But we say, no, we want to protect our people. So first of all, we wanted to protect our people, but on the other side, we wanted to serve our customers. That's why on 67,000 people, we just asked 37,000 people to adopt smart working as the new normal, because the rest of the people had to ensure our citizens, our customers, that they could have electricity. Because if you have an hospital and you have 100 doctors and just one person in emergency therapy, without electricity, you can't treat him or her. He or she dies without electricity. So it's very important for us to be able to serve our customers, guaranteeing the continuity of the service for hospitals and for other people who needed electricity. So the first need was protecting our people. The second need was ensuring the quality of the service. How we could do it? Because we worked on innovation before. There is a famous quote from John Fitzgerald Kennedy, former US president. He said that you can't repair a broken window when it's raining. You have to work before. So we worked on innovation before. So we had 100% of our IT systems in cloud since 2016. We had the majority of our people experiencing smart working one day per week since 2016. We had thousands of people working with agile approach since 2014. And so we were ready. So we were used to monitor our infrastructures due to drones, robots, and we had submarine drones. We had drones surveilling all our assets and getting images, and having AI, artificial intelligence, able to detect possible failures for our lines and for our plants and advising us. So it was normal for us to adopt this new normal.
Okay, so the key is to be ready in advance to all difficulties.
More you are innovative, more you are resilient and sustainable. That's why I lead innovation and sustainability, that we are mixed with a new word called innovability.
Yeah, sure. Okay, and so you didn't practically have nothing to adapt fastly to face the new reality. Basically, you were ready to everything that happened.
Yes, yes. To be honest, yes. We did, and I think that we were guilty because we were ready, but we didn't have this approach with 37,000 people before. So the technology was ready, the process were ready, the company was ready, but the COVID, this is just a small positive aspect of the COVID. It pushed us on the future with a faster approach, because the technology was ready, but the culture was not enough ready. I didn't introduce myself before, but I was a serial startupper, and before, when I was working my startup, I had a smart working, 100% smart working, and all my colleagues were working at home, and we had meetings just when we wanted to invent something new or when we wanted to celebrate a success. But we didn't use offices, and the technology was ready before. But if I can say, saying honestly, Enel was ready. The technology has been adopted many years before, but the culture needed the COVID to speed it up.
Okay. So in this case, probably we should talk about how to be ready to such challenges, and maybe you can share some key insights. I know that so Enel actually was named last year as Europe's Innovation Champion, according to Corporate Stars Award. And it's very interesting because actually you really know how to integrate startups in your open innovation model. So before we start this second topic to discuss your open innovation model, I would like to suggest our participants to take part on a little survey. I'm launching it. So please take a part on a little survey that you see on your screens. You should choose one of the biggest obstacles for the startup corporate cooperation. So waiting some.
I was trying to vote, but I can't. But
sorry.
I really love it.
But I'm going to ask you about this later.
Yeah. Okay. I really love these questions and the potential answers.
Yeah, so waiting a little bit more, we have almost 50% voted. So please just choose the answer that you seem more important.
Yeah.
That seems more important to you. And don't forget to ask questions on Q&A section. Okay, while the voting is still on, we have a question from our participants regarding the innovation strategy. So I'm asking it to you right now. So during this period of COVID-19, some markets are stagnating, and the companies tend to focus on their primary business functions, while innovations takes a backseat. How are you dealing with this at Enel? So if it's the case in Enel, and have you been able to incorporate innovation initiatives in your strategy during this period?
For us, this is not a real problem. Thanks to Alexandra for the question. This is not a real problem, to be honest, because all our innovation activities, 90% of our innovation activities are aligned with the 3-year strategic plan. So all the managers are paid to get very hard targets aligned with the 3-year strategic plan, and they use innovation to get these targets. So they need innovation much more than before, because now the targets are far from the past and from them. So they need to accelerate their activities thanks to the innovation. Innovation is a large accelerator of the strategic plan. So it isn't on a side. It's central for our managers and for our activities. And we have people managing innovation in every department, in every business line, in every country, in every market. And those people are directly under me and under the head of this department or business line or country. So they are hungry, and we are humble too. We know that if we are not humble, we can't find the right solutions, because the best ones don't work only for Enel. They are outside. There are startuppers, there are inventors, there are people working in universities, and there are even people working in other companies, big companies like Enel. We want to work with them, listening to them, getting advice and proposals from them. And for us, it's crucial to get the everyday targets. So in this period, managers are asking more and more, not less than before.
Okay, great. So we are finishing our survey, and we see the results. Do you see them on your screen? So yeah. As you can see, the most important obstacle, according to our participants, it's that it's difficult to find the right person that needs the product and has budget. Okay.
This is very important, because we have found the solution. The solution is very easy. If you go to openinnovability.com, you find our digital door, and you can propose your startup. You can propose your idea. This idea or the startup will be forwarded to the right person that is able to evaluate your proposal, and he or she will give you the answer. So thanks to openinnovability.com, that is a community open with members from more than 95 different countries, more than 400,000 members, you will find your open digital door to interact with Enel. And it's very important to underline that we have simplified all the procedures for the startups to become a supplier. When I was a startupper, I found a nightmare to cooperate with all the big companies, including Enel. It was a nightmare. They were asking me, how many years have we worked? For how many years? And what are the income? What is the income? And when I started, the income was zero, because I was starting. And they didn't want to work with me until I had 10 million euros of income. But I get 10 million euros if big company couldn't work with me. So it was like a nightmare. I I work with other colleagues, and it's very important to underline that our people are former startuppers like me, many of them. And even our global head of innovation for infrastructure and networks, Robert Denda, is a former startupper. And we have other former startuppers all around the company. And what is very important to underline is that even our CEO, Francesco Starace, our CFO, our global head of renewables, they were former startuppers. They worked for Enel Green Power. In 2009, it was a startup with 0 revenues, 0 employees, and now is the largest renewable company in the world. And we are always working to fund new startups. And 5 years ago, I was working on Open Fiber. That was a startup. And I have incubated this new company. And now the value of this company is 6-7 billion of euros. So we want to scale up startups, and we are used to do this job because we were startuppers.
Okay, yeah, that's very good that you're explaining this, because we have a lot of questions from our startups: how to present the project to Enel, how to find the relevant person to present their project. So I think that it's very important. We're going to talk about this again, how you can do it, how you can approach to Enel, and we're going to also to show the link to your website when you're working with startups. So regarding also this open innovation question, can you point out the main KPIs you set up to measure the success? So what is the success for you when you're working with innovative technology?
This question is very important because usually companies talk about innovation, but they don't set up a bunch of KPIs. KPIs are fundamental because if you want to have people free to work on the different topics, you must analyze what are the concrete results that they get. So you can increase also the amount of budget, the amount of people who are working on innovation. So the traditional KPIs that we use are how many ideas we get from outside, how many ideas we get from inside, how many of these ideas we transform into concrete POCs, proof of concepts, attempts to make innovation come true, and after how many POCs are effective. I mean, I consider effective when from a POC we can switch to a concrete application in the Enel ecosystem, having a concrete result in terms of cost savings, in terms of new revenues, or in terms of increased safety for our people and or security. And after we measure how many POCs we transform into implementation, and in how many countries, and after how much incremental EBITDA margin we get from these POCs already scaled up. So how many scaled up and how many revenues or cost cuttings, cost savings, or if we don't have a monetary KPI, what is the increase of in terms of safety or security?
Okay, so different.
And we measure all of them, and I can give you, I can share with you some facts and figures. We have analyzed more than 9,000 ideas in the last 5 years. 9,000. We have implemented more than 600 projects. Sorry, more than 1,000 projects. We have successfully implemented with startups, only with startups, more than 500 projects successfully implemented with startups. And we have, from all this innovation, we have increased the margin of the company in our 3-year plan of more than 670 million of euros. That is to say that every year from this innovation, we get more than 200 million of euros in terms of incremental margin. That is a huge, when I say margin, I consider all the costs that we had and all the benefits that we have. So it's a positive result, impressively positive result, that doesn't consider that the fact that during this pandemic time, we have continued working on our day-by-day activities thanks to the innovation that we did before. So if we didn't do, what could happen to our revenues, to our costs?
Really?
The real impact is definitely higher and higher.
Yeah, that's great to hear, actually. So, and what is your model on working with startups exactly? Like, do you invest? Do you work with them as suppliers, or it depends type of technology?
There are two different perspectives. One is the corporate venture capital. The corporate venture capital invests in a fund, and after this fund invests in companies, in startups. The other model that we have approached since 2014 is the corporate venture client. What does it mean? We don't invest in the equity of the startup, while we invest in the industrial implementation of the products, of the services. We invest in projects with the startups. We become the first ally, and we can pay for some specific technological developments. We become the customer of the startup, the client, and we adopt the products and the services of this startup, and we help the startup to scale up at global level. If the startup needs a monetary support in terms of equity, we have a strong and large network of 48 different venture capital funds, and they are very happy to collaborate with startups that we want to work with. We have some venture capital funds in Russia. We are very happy for this collaboration. And we have venture capital funds all around the world, in Switzerland, in France, in Italy, in Spain, in the United States, in South America, even in Indonesia and in Australia. So the monetary support from from VCs is ready for our startups. What we want to do is to avoid to invest in startups, because otherwise the risk is that other utilities don't want to collaborate with the startups because it's a startup owned by Enel. We want to make the startups free to work with everybody. We don't want to limit them, because I was a startupper. I didn't want to have someone giving me some rubles or some euros to sell the 10% or the 20% of my company since the starting point, because he could get with a cheap price the 10 or the 20% of my company. I would prefer to have someone who could give me assignments, support as a customer, as a client. And this is what we do. We support also startups with providing them with our labs. We have 21 labs all around the world, and we say, hey, come to our lab. We will pay for travel expenses. We will give you our lab for free. We'll give you the knowledge and the skills of our colleagues as mentors and co-developers for free. And we say, hey, do you need a test? Do you have to pay for this test to the university? We will pay. We prefer to act as the industrial partner and the client, because it's better for them. We don't want to be toxic as big companies, large companies are usually are, because unfortunately they say, hey, I buy your shares and after you have to do this, and this. No, we don't want to say to the startups what they have to do. We want to listen from the startups what we have to do, being humble.
That's great, actually, because it's very important to know how you work with startups. It's quite interesting model, and I know that you have also 10 innovation hubs worldwide. So does these innovation hubs integrated in your whole ecosystem, or how it's functioning?
They are integrated, and I'm going to explain you how we work with these hubs. Every year, we update our 3 years strategic plan of the company. From the strategic plan of the company, we get the KPIs that we have to improve thanks to innovation. So we have the innovation plan, 3 years innovation plan, that we use to say, hey, we have to work on this, and this. And with the managers, we find a lot of challenges. So I give you an example of a challenge. How can I measure and I can check a wind pole when it's rotating if there is a problem on this wind pole without stopping it? So we added to the solution. We didn't want to stop the wind blades, but we wanted to check if there were some problems on this wind blade. And we launched this challenge, and we asked our innovation hubs, please, let's find a solution. So people in Moscow at Skolkovo, people in Santiago de Chile, people in Rio, people in Boston, in San Francisco, where we have the innovation hubs, people in Tel Aviv or in Madrid, they were looking for startups able to solve this challenge. After that, they have found those startups, they shared with us, and we had one-to-one meetings, selecting some of them for the POC. So every activity that we do is aligned with the strategic plan, and every challenge that we launch comes from the business side, not from us, from the innovation people, but from the business side. And the business people are strongly committed to evaluate startups that we find in, thanks to our innovation hubs. Our innovation hubs are places where we stay for the whole year to look for the best startups. We have chosen just 10, but obviously we go every year, we go 2 times in Berlin, 2 times in London, 2 times in Paris to look for startups. But we have decided to adopt as innovation hubs only places where the innovations are very, very important, where there is a strong innovation ecosystem, and places where we work and we have team who can make innovation come true. And Moscow is very important because in Skolkovo there is Skoltech and other universities and organizations like yours, Generation S, that can help us. And because there are a lot of innovators, a lot of people with the right knowledge in AI, robotics, automation, and other stuff that are very important for us. That's why we have established an innovation hub also in Skolkovo. The other ones that we are using are in Tel Aviv, because Tel Aviv, Israel, is probably the Disneyland for startups. In a very small place, you find a lot of startups, amazing talents, a lot of universities, and it's a really fertile ecosystem. And the other hub is in San Francisco, that is interesting too, very interesting too, and the other hub is in Rio, because in Rio de Janeiro there are a lot of startups, and we are working with our labs too, because we have not only the hubs to look for startups, but the labs where we test technologies. And we have labs all around the world, from Colombia to Brazil, from Spain to Italy, from Tel Aviv to North America. And not only our labs and our hubs, we have our plants and our grids. As I was saying before, we are the largest renewable producer in the world and the largest manager of digitalized grids in the world. So we have plenty of plants and of grids that we can use to test solutions from our startup ecosystem. And we have, in terms of people, more than 250 million of customers all around the world.
Very impressive.
So we can use them. And this is just, all these assets are for our startups, ready to be used to test their solutions.
Yeah, great. So the network is also the key to innovate. Ernesto, we have actually a lot of questions, and I suggest you, so before summing up, to answer the questions we have from the participants. So one of them is related with COVID question, and is about, are you promoting some social innovation initiatives deal with the of the most vulnerable population?
Sorry, I couldn't listen very well. If we are involved in social innovation?
Yeah, are you promoting some social innovation initiatives?
We are definitely committed in social innovation. That's why we don't call our department innovation, but innovability, because all things that we do are aimed at improving the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals that United Nations have publicly shared to better the entire world. And the majority of our innovation is aimed at reducing the cost of renewables. This is in favor of the world, obviously. But we have more than 1,800, it's incredible, 1,800 projects aimed at local and social communities, bettering the way of life, bettering the social conditions, bettering the way they use energy, they save energy, and that the way they integrate themselves into the world. Because you can imagine that we don't work only in Italy or in Russia. We have plants in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert in Chile, or in the middle of nothing in Peru. And in this isolated part of the world, there are small communities, 100 people, 200 people, and we want to work with them, to support them. That's why we are managing a lot of innovation projects aimed at bettering the social conditions of people. And before this webinar, I had another webinar and I talked about what we did in Africa to support African people and African communities, and also supporting African leaders with the right education for free, just to better the social conditions of Africa, countries where we operate. And we are very proud of it, because the first invention of the first ventilator in open source came from a former alumnus of us. He attended a course of us. He was inspired by some concepts that we shared at this course, and we had the idea to develop the first open source ventilator. And even if the MIT, I quote another time, the MIT from Boston was working on this project, the first open source ventilator came from Africa, from these people, from this person. And so the answer is definitely yes. We are fully committed on social innovation, and we don't distinguish social innovation and technological innovation, because there are a lot of technologies that can better the world in the social aspects, and there are a lot of social variables that are fundamental to implement the adoption and to increase the adoption of the technologies.
It's great to hear, because actually we have some startups from Africa here who is listening to us, and they are asking whether the Enel Group is working in Africa. So the answer is yes, sure.
We are African too. We are African. We have many colleagues in Morocco, in Ethiopia, in Zambia, in South Africa. Our heart beats in Africa too.
Great. So we have a lot of questions regarding your innovation strategy, and the main is is your innovation strategy like a separate document, separate planning, or it's integrated into the overall business strategy of the company? And how do you make sure the whole company, all the plans that you have, all the stakeholders that you have, they understand what innovation focuses Enel has?
I am never sure, but I try. I want to do my best. No, I don't try, but I do my best to make it come true. But I'm never sure. And but what we do is that we plan our global strategy, having me when we plan this strategy. I'm part of the top management. I directly work under the global CEO, with having no other boss. And I have people working with me all around the company. So we generate energy in the generation department. There is the head of innovation, the head of sustainability. They work under the global head of generation and under me. We distribute energy, the same happens. We have global head of innovation, distribution, under the global head of distribution and under me. And I could say for all the part of the company. So my function is everywhere. And we create the 3-year strategic plan. We don't get from outside. And we are part of this plan. So it's impossible that we are not embedded in the plan, because we define the global strategy of the company. And after, we have not to align ourselves to the global strategy of the company, because it has been designed, listening to us, involving us. Because if you are not innovative and you don't consider disruptions that are coming, you can't define the right strategy. That's why when I joined Enel in 2014, me and the CEO, we were analyzing the past CEO strategy, and we have found more than 5 billion to be invested in new fossil fuel plants, and we decided to eliminate them, all of them. 5 billion to be eliminated in 15 minutes because they were not sustainable, and because the innovation coming in the upcoming in the renewables could cancel those plants. So why had we to invest in this new fossil fuel plants? And we canceled them. So we are not on a side. We are central part of the strategy of the group. And that's why in the investment committee of the company, this is a committee aimed at deciding all the investments of the company. I am part of this committee, and we are just 7 people involved in this committee. I'm part of this because if there is an investment that is not sustainable, or that will be killed by innovation of other players or by our innovation, we must avoid this investment. And we have killed more than 2.5 billion of proposals coming to the strategic investment committee because they were not sustainable or because they were not innovative.
Okay, yeah, and regarding the innovative technologies, so the question is that do you have any priorities for technologies that you are looking for in a short term and long term? And are there any technology trends that you are excited about?
We are curious. So we know that we must reduce the cost of renewables. We know that we must reduce the cost of grids, and we must increase the quality of the grids. We know that a lot of new innovations can come and kill us. So we want to find them before, then they kill us, adopting them, even killing part of ourselves, renovating us. And this is very important because if you find a priority, unfortunately, if this priority is wrong, you are killed by yourself. So I don't say that we don't have priorities, but we must be open and curious to the new. And I give you an example. 2 years ago, the hydrogen was not considered in our innovation plans. And we were right. Now we are considering hydrogen as a powerful source of innovation, green hydrogen. So I don't say, when I say hydrogen, I mean hydrogen powered with electricity, renewables, not hydrogen produced using coal or gas. Now we think that it's an opportunity because the technology has convinced us, but we were monitoring. Even if we thought this is a stupid idea, we were humble enough to monitor it, and we changed our opinion. So if you think that you know the truth, unfortunately, you miss part of the truth. So being open to say, hey, this is a stupid idea, and be open to listen to this idea, to monitor the evolution of the idea, and even saying after, this is a great idea. This is part of the way we work, of our culture. Being always open to the new, being always open to the nature, because from the nature comes the major part of inspiration, as the famous Russian poet Yesenin teach to us.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I think.
I hope that I have pronunciated in the right way, Yesenin.
Yeah, it's perfect. Your Russian is great, actually. So we have a lot of questions that I arrive in, but unfortunately we don't have so much time. So I'll ask my colleagues to answer the questions, and we will definitely do this after the webinar. And I would like to suggest you, Ernesto, to pass to the main conclusions. So let's see what is your key message for the participants.
Yeah, you have summarized in this picture my messages, and I really love this picture, because launch innovation challenges is useless if you don't structure a strong innovation management. This is right. we must work before to make everything come true. We want to work with startups, but to work with them, you need dedicated people, dedicated procurement procedures. This is very important. As I was saying before, I tried to work with big companies when I founded a startup that was a consulting company focused only on innovation, but it was a nightmare in Italy. I had to work in Finland. It was easier because with Nokia mobile phones, it was definitely easier than with other companies like Enel. Measure everything. Key performance innovation indicators. It's very important to demonstrate also to your boss that you are creating value. And even the smallest startup could disrupt your business. I can share with you a story. I was working with Nokia mobile phone and I found a small company that was very close to die in the United States. And I proposed to Nokia to adopt their operating system for the new mobile phones. And I have at home the agreement signed by the CEO of that company, the small one. And according to this agreement, this small company couldn't enter in the mobile phone market for 20 years. If Nokia adopted its mobile phone operating system for free, they were able and ready to offer for free. The global CEO of Nokia said to me, what can we do with this corporate zombie? They are very close to die. They are a zombie. The name of that company was Apple. And in 2003, Nokia said no to Apple to adopt the iOS as the operating system. Unfortunately, after 3 years, Apple entered into the market of mobile phone and killed the giant Nokia mobile phone. Nokia at that time in 2003 had more or less the 70% of global market share, 70%. After 3 years, after the introduction of the 4 years, after the launch of iPhone, Nokia closed its activity. So you can imagine, even the smallest startup could disrupt your business. And after, stay humble, stay hungry. I definitely agree. I quote Steve Jobs. He says, stay hungry or stay foolish, but I would prefer stay humble. Because if you are not humble enough, you will never get the great value that you could get from a startupper, from an external inventor, or from anyone else outside the company that could be a strange person, but could have an amazing idea that if you are not humble, you will never get.
That's perfect, I think. And I know that you have a message for the startups that we have today. So can you share with us?
Yes, we are launching a global call. We have called this call Reshape, because we want to reshape the world. According to, in this COVID time, we have new challenges, and this COVID time can help us to speed up our innovation, not to decrease the speediness of our innovation, but to speed up our innovation activities. That's why we invite Russian startups to join us on openinnovability.com or on enel.startup.com, startup.enel.com, and you can find this global call with 6 specific challenges, and you can find the specific challenges. If you have ideas, if you have proposals for one of these challenges, please don't hesitate to send us the proposals. We are here to evaluate your proposals. They will be evaluated by our technical managers, and they will give you an answer. We will definitely take care of all the ideas and proposals that will come. And if you get a yes, you will make this proposal come true with us. If you get a no, it will be a motivated no. So you will understand why and how you could improve your product or your service to get a future yes. So it happens in human relations. You could get a no, But if you get a no with a why, an explanation, you know how to better yourself. This is what we do. Some cases we say yes, in some other cases we say no, but always we want to say why not. And it could be useful also for companies, startups, or independent innovators who will share with us their ideas and proposals. Thanks to all the people who were listening to me. I have a message from Azrina from Malaysia, and in the chat, thanks for your messages, and thanks to people who have attended this webinar. Thanks to you, Ani, for your important and useful moderation, and to the other people who organized this webinar. Olga, Andrea, Angelina, and the other ones.
Yeah, thank you, Ernesto, for being with us today and for sharing this insightful key points on how you work with startups. I think and I hope it was useful for our corporate partners, startups, definitely, and innovation ecosystem players. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for staying also such open and willing to share knowledges. And I am thanking also our participants. Thanks for joining. It was the first talk we had with Ernesto, but we will have other ones with other companies. So hope to see you next time on August 4th. We're going to talk with BP, also about their model and how they are working with innovations. And again, thanks to Enel Group, thanks to Ernesto. Спасибо.
До свидания.
Bye.
До свидания.
Bye. Thank you.